And welcome in to the ride, a journey to the tourney, where we bring you through the 2025-26 college basketball season. My name's Andrew Hurley. I'm back here with Brett B and Ketty. Brett, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm excited for college basketball to be back so soon. How you been doing?
Doing good. So we got a good episode coming to you today. A lot of preview award predictions. We're gonna look across both nationally and into each conference, and then we're kind of just gonna at the end of the episode preview some of the games of the week. Excited to get to preview some games. Gonna talk about those. And then we're going to get out of here with a hot take and think that's going to be it. So, anything from you, Brett, before we get started?
No, I'm just excited. We got a lot of different topics to go over. It's a little bit each though.
Yeah. So, how we set this up, we're going to talk about four of our mid-major conferences that we've talked about. We're going to give you our players of the year in those conferences. We'll move to the Power Fives, and then we're going to get into the national award winners, which include National Player of the Year, National Freshman of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and then National Transfer of the Year. So those are all of our award predictions. So for the West Coast Conference, Brett, I had Graham Ike picking up the Player of the Year in that conference.
Yeah, I had Graham EK as well.
Seems to be like he's the favorite. A lot of these national or a lot of these conference Player of the Years are going to be more interesting in the Power Five conversations than these mid-major ones. I feel like. In fact, Graham Ike is the overwhelming favorite here. Did you have anybody else you wanted to kind of throw some love to?
Yeah, for the mid majors, I just picked my top one and had a couple extra guys to fill out the five. So I like Mikey Lewis, St. Mary's, Elijah Mahi, Tyrone Riley, and Guillermo Diaz Graham. They're just guys. I don't think they'll win it over EK. I think he has it pretty much locked, but they're top players, I think, in the conference, at least.
Yeah, I agree with that. Moving on to the Mountain West Conference, I had Mason Falslev winning the Player of the Year.
Same thing.
Yep. And then anybody else you wanted to get into the conversation there?
I think Miles Bird might have like a decent chance, and then Andrew Meadow maybe as well. I think it kind of comes down to whoever wins the conference and puts up good numbers on that team. Um, and I like Josh Pasquarelli and Kamani Hamilton too.
Yeah, I was going to also say that Andrew Meadow was a guy who I like for Player of the Year, especially just depending on record from those teams. So I agree with you. And then in the A10, I had Robbie Avila. I think he's going to be kind of the runaway, even though there is some stars in that conference, honestly. But who else did you want to get out there?
Yeah, I picked Avila as well. I said Rafael Castro, Jordan
Hmm.
Washington, Barry Evans or Keyshawn Mitchell at VCU, and then Javon Bennett at Dayton. I think they're all pretty solid, but Avila should probably pretty easily win this one.
Yeah, I like Javon Bennett a lot as a guard more in that conversation. But yeah, I also agree. This is going to be Robbie Avila's award to lose. And then last one for these mid majors, we go to the American. I have Rowan Brumbaugh taking home Player of the Year.
It's the one we have differently. I have Doug McDaniel at Memphis. I just think he'll put up a ton of points, even if it's going to be a little
Yeah,
inefficient, a little sloppy, but I think they win the conference too. So,
yeah, I like what Tulane has, and I mean Rowan Brumbaugh is probably the best returner from the conference last year. I like 16 I like 16 points, good efficiency, so I expect him to take even bigger of a leap. But yeah, I we have different opinions on the Doug McDaniel show, so
yeah.
only time will tell. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, we can get into some of the bigger ones. So we have the Power Five schools. Was there a school you wanted to start off with, or I mean a
A
conference,
conference.
excuse me. Yeah.
I mean, you could probably start with the ACC, a little
Okay.
alphabetical.
Yeah. In the ACC, I went ahead. I got the freshman in the conference, Cam Boozer, taking home Player of the Year.
That's what I had as well.
And tough down year for the ACC is what I've been saying. I mean, it's tough to. I'm there's guys down at the bottom of the conference who I like actually, and there's guys obviously. Darian Williams from NC State is one of my guys. I really like him. Louisville is pretty talented. They don't really have like a clear top guy. You can talk about Ryan Conwell like that, but I just think that the star power that Cam Boozer's already bringing, he's going to be the guy who takes it home at the end of the year. Anybody else you had?
Yeah. I brought up Ryan Conwell. 'Cause I do think he's the guy for Louisville. JJ Starling. Maybe if Syracuse has some huge year. Darian Williams, kind of similarly, like gonna have a huge role. So maybe if NC State does really well, and then Marcus Burton will put up big numbers, and
Hmm.
maybe Notre Dame could be decent this year.
Yeah, and then next, did you want to go to the Big East?
Yeah, it works.
Big East, I had Zuby Ejiofor as my player of the year.
Yeah, I had Zuby as well, but I think this is probably like the one I'm least confident in, probably.
It's just who else is going to take up who else is going to take that spot from him, I guess is my thing. I mean, the solo ball conversations there. I'm not sure about Jason Edwards. I know he puts up really good numbers. Besides from that, I don't think anybody at the bottom of the conference, especially as their teams aren't as successful, are going to be able to overtake. So I guess his competition for me was looking like Jason Edwards and solo ball. I like Zuby Ejiofor and I like St. John's more than those other two teams. So
Yeah, I'm not sure how great his stats will look because I do think St. John's is pretty talented and not a lot of spacing, but I mean, solo ball, Jason Edwards I brought up, and then Blake Harper and Chase Ross were other guys I think just like lead their teams. Guards could put up good points, but
yep, I agree. And then to the Big Ten, this has been my hottest take coming into this preseason so far. I've been vocal about how I don't think Braden Smith is going to be National Player of the Year nor Player of the Year in the Big Ten. My guy is going to be Donovan Dent to be the Big Ten Player of the Year. I think he's going to be the leader of that entire team, going to be the best guard and best player in the conference. Who'd you have?
yeah, I had Braden Smith. I think Dent could look better, but I think Braden Smith, I don't think they'd give it to the newcomer over the guy who won last year. I think he'll put up good stats, and I think overall people are just gonna like Braden Smith more. So yeah.
Yeah. Another guy that I talked about was Kylan Boswell. I really like Kylan Boswell.
Mm.
Jackson Shelstad and Nate Biddle are two guys that I've been high on. Um, Even a guy down towards the bottom, like John Blackwell. I'm not sure Wisconsin's going to be towards the top of the conference, but he's going to put up good numbers. So, who else did you have in that conversation?
Yeah, I had Lendeborg, um,
Yeah.
and then Stojakovic. I think both of them last year really high scores, so maybe they could put up good stats in the Big Ten too.
Then to the Big 12, pretty easy decision here for me. It was JT Toppin.
Yeah, I picked JT Toppin pretty easily as well.
I think he's gonna take the runaway with this. I haven't been as big of a fan this preseason of Milos Uzan, so I'm not sure. DeBonsa, I think, is his biggest. DeBonsa and Peterson, the freshmen, are his biggest competition. I think JT Toppin's gonna take it home this year over those two.
Yeah, I had um the three guys you brought up, Peterson, Uzan, and Bonsa, and also threw in Joshua Jefferson. I think all of them will be on pretty good teams, and they'll all probably be pretty close to first options, but I don't think they really compete with Toppin.
And PJ Haggerty's name does have to get out there, so I'm just gonna make sure we get his name out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
No matter even if K-State's at the bottom of the conference, I mean he was an All-American last year, so name has to get out there.
Sure.
And then I think the last one here we have is going to be the SEC, where I picked Otega Owe to be the player of the year.
Yeah, I picked Otego as well.
Who else did you have in that conversation looking at it?
Um, this is probably my toughest list to make because I'm not a huge Florida guy. So I
Hmm.
didn't have any of them make it, but I did have Keyshawn Hall, Mark Mitchell, Jacoby Gillespie, and Pop Isaacs. I don't know. This is a really tough conference for me.
I agree. Looking at this, I was struggling to define. I'm a big Phylon guy at Alabama, so I think that he's going to be a guy who can contend for that. But I had a hard time putting Boogie Fland or
Mm.
Alex Condon in there in the conversation with, I mean, Tahad Pettiford's going to be a high volume guy. Malik Diaz, a guy who I'm pretty high on. I like Ole Miss a ton this year, but I do think that it's going to be Otega Owe's award this year.
Yeah, I think like when you're looking at this conference, there's not a lot of like high volume, high score guys, so I wouldn't be surprised if it went to like a wing or a big, just because it's more excusable to have lower stats. But if there was a guy to like push 20 points per game, I think it'd be Owe.
I agree. And that's going to bring us through all of the conference player of the years. So now here's the big ones. We're going to highlight four main awards nationally: transfer, defensive, freshman, and player of the year. Before we get into this, these are going to be some repeats of the guys earlier talked about in the
Hmm.
conference, so just be ready for that. But national transfer of the year, Brett, who'd you have?
Can you hear them?
What was that?
Can you hear my dogs?
No, I can't.
Oh, that's crazy. They're
Oh, are
dog
they
barking
barking up a storm
somebody.
back there?
Yeah, I know. But
That's funny.
what one was it?
National transfer of the year.
So my transfer, I did have Donovan Dent. Um, yeah, we talked. He might be the guy we talked about most so far, honestly.
I do think we talked about him the most.
He's
Maybe we
just
got to
so
chill out on the
awesome.
Donovan Dent.
Yeah, I mean, maybe UCLA won't be that great, so I don't know. But I think he'll be one of the best scoring guards in the country, and I think the team suits him pretty well. So I like the transfer
Yeah,
choice.
I also had Donovan Dent as my transfer, as to be expected. I'm Yaxel Lendenberg is the other guy who I think is the pretty clear. I also think PJ Haggerty could be up here for this. I mean, there's a ton of good transfers up and down, but I do think Donovan Dent's just going to put up some really awesome numbers at UCLA. I'm super excited. A sneaky one that I wanted to keep out there was the Ryan Conwell. I think Ryan Conwell could be
Mm,
maybe a transfer of the year guy if he puts up just really good efficiencies. I think they might be able to shoe him in there, especially if Louisville is really good this year. So,
yeah.
and then to the defense player of the year, I wasn't sure. I kind of want to change it up, but I just went with who had it last year. I went with Tugler out of
Hmm.
Houston. He's just a menace down there, and I think that having Sinak next to him will even aid him more and help his numbers a little bit more. I mean, that's going to be such a nasty front court, man. So I had Tugler repeating.
Yeah, I did as well. Shout out to Quintance, Anthony Robinson, Nate Biddle. Were guys I thought could put up some pretty good stats. But yeah, JoJo Tugler is going to be awesome. And like you said, I think Sinak is only going to help him in the front court. I mean, he averaged 2 blocks and a steal on like 20 minutes per game last year with
Hmm.
Etwan Moore. So like he could put up some really ridiculous stats. They're going to be the best
Yeah.
defense in the country as well. So kind of makes sense.
Yep, I agree. And then freshman of the year, this has been something that honestly I've even been like going back and forth on through this whole preseason, watching these games, listening to stuff, listening to even like coaches talk about these guys.
Mm,
National freshman of the year, I did end up going with AJ DeBonsa from BYU. I think that he has a big role, not as big of a role as Peterson's going to have at Kansas. That's the only thing where I like Peterson might be able to edge him out, but he has a big enough role where they're going to look to get him the ball a lot. He's going to probably end up being a main ball handler besides Rob Wright over Richie Saunders, I think. He's a good defender. I just think he's going to put up the numbers to be National Freshman of the Year.
yeah, the battling between those top three guys, just because of how big their roles are, is tough. But I kind of just ended up going with Darren Peterson because I know, like, out of all those guys, I feel like he has the most secure role as being the guy. Like Cam Boozer, you could argue, Isaiah Evans, DeBonce, you could argue, Richie Saunders, and Rob Wright take away from him. But I mean, Darren Peterson, he's amazing. Like, pure scorer, and he's gonna have like the perfect team for him just to like put shots up. So I think statistically he'll probably be the best, and that kind of just led me to take him for the overall winner.
The other guy that we were kind of choosing between was Cam Boozer when we talk about that big three. And some other guys, obviously, Nate Ment is a good freshman. We've talked about him. He's going to have a role. I'm a big Caleb Wilson fan, Michael Brown, but I think it is pretty clear the top three.
Yeah.
And then the big one, National Player of the Year. Hard to predict over looking at these past years. I remember the days where Cassius Winston was supposed to be the National
Hmm.
Player of the Year, and so these preseason things are tough to look at and say it's for sure. But especially this year when you have so many people, it's not like oh Zach Edey is going to be National Player
Hmm.
of the Year, and you think he's a shoe in. I mean, there's a ton of different options here. Braden Smith is the consensus National Player of the Year. Who did you have?
Yeah, I went with the guy who I think a lot of people have as a second up. I actually went with JT Toppin, but who'd you have?
I went with JT Toppin. I have JT
Yeah.
Toppin. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean we talked about him a bit. It's kind of crazy. He's like the best paint scorer in the country at 230, but like
Hmm.
he's like such good touch. And this year, honestly, I feel like the team built around him is like actually built around him. It's not just like scores surrounding him. He's really gonna be the guy for the team, and I think he could have a lot better numbers this year, which is crazy.
Yeah. I like the roster construction. I like what they did in the portal, just putting shooters around him, putting guys who are going to get him the ball. Yeah, I like Texas Tech and I like JT Toppin even more.
Hmm.
I'm glad we both had the same player. That's kind of fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's going to be the player of the year for us. Interesting. Neither of us picked Braden Smith.
yeah, I know. It's kind of crazy.
I like it. I like it though. Okay,
Yeah.
the last thing that we're gonna do here is just look into the next week of games. So this is coming out on a Thursday. Games start on Monday. We're not gonna look forward to games again until next Thursday. So we're just gonna look at all these games that we're going through. I had a list of some of the high major games, power conference games that good to keep an eye on. So games starting on November 3rd, the Hall of Fame series, which is between Florida and Arizona. That's going to be on TNT at 7 o'clock Eastern. Going to be a really good game. Florida, obviously the defending national champions, playing on opening night. I mean, that's all you can ask for, really. I mean, excited for that. Arizona is going to be a good test for them, a young team. It's actually an interesting thing that I looked at. The matchup predictor on ESPN is split exactly 50-50,
Hmm. That's cool.
50.0%. I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
So, but what do you like about this game?
I mean, for those, I also picked my own, but I think it'll just be, I think it'll be interesting to see how Arizona uses the freshmen, and then how this, I think the back course or front course will be interesting. Um, and it'll be interesting to see how Florida's new backcourt works out game one.
And who's your pick to win this game, this one?
I'm going Florida, I think. I'm not a huge fan, but I still gotta go.
Yep, I'm also going to pick Florida in that game. Next one I had was Texas versus Duke. That's going to be on Tuesday night at 8:45 Eastern on ESPN. Uh, the Dick Vitale Invitational. That's going to be awesome, man. I love what they're doing with this preseason. Going to be an awesome slate of preseason games. Or I mean, pre
Early season.
non-conference is what I meant. Sorry, non-conference games. So Texas and Duke matching up. Who's your pick here?
Yeah, it's Duke, but it'll be a fun
It's
game, I
Duke.
think.
And I like the backcourt of Texas. I think the backcourt honestly might even be better than Duke's with their experience. It'll be a good showing. Texas is a pretty experienced roster, differing from Duke. So excited for that. And then Kansas versus UNC is probably my favorite game of the week. That's going to be on Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. UNC's favored in this one, just barely, favored by a point and a half on the spread. What do you like about this game?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be my favorite game. I kind of higher, I think, on both of them than most people, but I'd probably go Kansas. I think we'll see. I think it's like a fun like front court. I think both front courts are gonna be good, and I also think like Darren Peterson versus Seth Trimble is like it's about as good as you're gonna get.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick North Carolina in this one. I'm excited for this. I think it's being played at in North Carolina at the Dean Smith Center, so I think that's gonna be a pretty big advantage for them. Home opener against Kansas. I mean, that's gonna be electric. I think the home crowd takes them
Mm.
just enough to get the dub there. And then the next game that I had was gonna be Arkansas versus Michigan State. This one is at 7 p.m. East or 7 p.m. Eastern on Fox Saturday night. Saturday, November 8th. Who do you got winning that one?
Yeah, I gotta go against Michigan State. I gotta go with Arkansas. I just think they're a more talented team. I think the
Uh,
freshmen are amazing. I think they have a lot of returners compared to Michigan State.
yeah, and Arkansas has looked really good this preseason. John Calipari is always going to be a good coach in my eyes. I also have Arkansas winning this one. That same night, or not even night, excuse me, there's a midday game. It's going to be
Mm.
Alabama versus St. John's at noon Eastern time on FS1. Uh, Early day college basketball games are awesome. This one is going to be in Madison Square Garden. I mean, so excited for this. Who could ask for more? I love both of these teams. I'm higher on both these teams than many other people, but who do you got picking this win up?
Yeah, I'm not quite as high on Bama, so St. John's pretty easy choice, but I do think this will be a fun game. There's such different like dynamics with this team. It's so gonna be so weird to watch.
I know, man. This game is going to be awesome. I think it's going to be high scoring, but I do like St. John's in this one. It's going to be a home game, pretty much. I
Yeah.
mean, they're in New York. It's going to be Far travel for Alabama. I like St. John's to pick this win up. Then that's not anything against Alabama for me because I really am high on Alabama, but I do think they picked that one up. And then the last game that I had was going to be Indiana versus Marquette. Forget which day this game is on. Mm,
I think it's Sunday. Let me see.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Um, these are two teams that I like a lot. Yeah, Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN.
Hmm.
The Waterkeeper Alliance Invitational. I mean, always a classic at the Waterkeeper. I like Marquette more than most do this year. I didn't have them outside, or I had them inside my top three for the Big East. Indiana's favored in this one a little bit. It's going to be played in Chicago.
Hmm.
I like Marquette to pick this one up.
I think I gotta go with Indiana. I've been a little high on them, and I'm not like completely sold on Marquette, but I think it'll be an interesting game at least.
I agree. Those are all the games that I had to highlight. Did you have any other ones?
Yeah, I had I think that covers pretty much all the Power Four games. There are
Hmm
a couple of stray ones like Washington Baylor might be interesting. Texas A&M Oklahoma State. Be able to see like Anthony Roy. But the mid-major game I wanted to point out, where's my let's see. I think we have both of them won my preseason conferences, VCU at Utah State. I think this
Mm.
could be one of the best mid-major games of the season. I love seeing the two, like powerhouse, like big mid-major teams play each other early on. Um, I mean, it's also going to be like Utah State's going to have one of the best mid-major offenses versus I think VCU has a pretty good defense. So I think it'll be a really good game.
And who's your pick to win that one?
That's such a tough pick. I do really like both teams, but I gotta go, I think, with Utah State just because there's like the continuity. It's the team. I mean, it's still Falslev's team. Still got Templin back. So at home, I
Yeah,
think I gotta go with them.
I also agree. I think Utah State's going to pick that one up.
Yeah. Um, I mean, some other shout outs, I'd say St. Thomas at St. Mary's. I think St. Thomas probably gonna win their conference. St. Mary's, good team always. So it's a nice one. McNeese at Santa Clara. It'll be interesting. I think McNeese is still favored for the Southland. So be a maybe a statement game against Santa Clara after losing with Wade. South Florida versus George Washington. I think they were both top three in my conference picks for their conferences.
Yeah, I'm
So
excited for that one. That'll be good.
yeah, that'll be a fun one. I don't know who I would pick here, but I think it'll be a good game. And then I said Cornell at Illinois State are also two more mid-major, not really high-major teams, but I know Illinois State is one of like top mid-major teams people are excited for, a lot of continuity.
All right, and that's all I've got for games. I think you good there, Brett?
Yeah, should we move on to our hot takes?
Yeah, hot take and get out of here.
Yeah, yeah.
You go first.
Okay. So I do have a pretty long one, but it is
Yeah, go
connected
for
to
it.
playing now. So, um, as you may know, it's kind of become a lot more popular lately, but I think the Players Era tournament in Vegas is going to be about as close to you get as you can to March Madness hype, like pretty soon TV wise, like as a whole event. Um, I know Feast Week is kind of thing and like Maui Invitational, like you get big tournaments and lots of big like event things like that, but I think the Players Era tournament's going to really take that over pretty soon. And a lot of that's because of the NIL money they bring in. Every
Hmm
team who attends gets 1 million in NIL, and then the winner gets an additional 1 million on top of that. So it pulled in. Let me see. So it's a 3 day tournament, but the coaches that are going, Rick Barnes, Dusty May, Nate Oates, Dana Altman, Bill Self, Kelvin Sampson, Mark Few, and Rick Pitino. Um, and I think all of
It's an
these,
elite list.
it's insane. And then there's also, I love that they sprinkled in like SDSU and UNLV. So like they're not it's not just like a power school thing, but I mean I think all these like this is like a clear sign to me that this is gonna become like a really big thing. Last year they only had like 8 teams. I think they doubled it. Um, there's so many veteran coaches coming in, and they're like it's not like a cakewalk for the money. Like they're important games. I think it'll be like a pretty big thing like monetarily for the teams, but also I think this will probably be the most like I guess influential tournament like by far. Like I think this could be almost more influential than like conference tournaments when it comes to like bracketology and stuff. Like other
Wow.
than like auto bids and
Yeah.
stuff, but like this is like such a big thing for like non-conference games in that. So I
Uh-huh.
think like mid majors could get some really big upsets. I think like last year you were seeing teams who were like how Maui got some teams in like the top 25 for weeks just because they beat UConn. Like I think that's like the level of upsets you could find here. I think it's really cool. I think it's like the money at stake. I think also helps the players play a lot harder. It's kind of like similar sentiments like the NBA Cup. So I mean, I think it's like a tournament thing that like a lot of people really take seriously and like is gonna get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I know the players eras that I mean Maui and all these other like the Bad Boys and all these other tournaments are kind of worried about players era expanding even
Hmm.
bigger than it is right now. I mean, eventually they're saying it could turn into like an entire huge non-conference thing where it's a
Hmm.
week-long tournament even and all of this stuff. So that's interesting. That's a long one, but I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Haven't put too much research into that, but I'm gonna have to look at that more. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
it's pretty new. I think it was last
Yeah.
year was like the big year for it, but I think it's really
Yeah.
fun tournament.
Yeah, Players Era field looks awesome this year, so I'm excited for that.
They had like
And then mine, this just a quick one and kind of a not my hottest, but I do think that like there's going to be one or two like low major upsets over like a top 15 team in this first week. Like I think that one of these teams is going to come out slow, like Tennessee against Mercer or something like that.
oh,
That
okay.
not saying that's going to happen, but
Yeah, yeah.
any one of these teams that are playing a ranked opponent, like Illinois versus Jackson State, something like those are just examples. And I think that one of these highly rated teams is going to drop a bad one, and it's gonna be off or it's gonna be a crazy season off the rip, and gonna see some tough losses. So that's my take.
Interesting. I'm seeing like SC State at Louisville.
Yeah, I don't
I
know. I
don't
just
know.
saw a ton of these like fun like Nichols at Kentucky. You
Yeah.
telling me Nichols can't pick up a win on SEC Network?
And South Dakota at Creighton. I'm like,
Yeah,
no.
right.
Uh, that's a pretty
So
crazy take, but I mean, it'll be really fun.
I think it's gonna happen.
Yeah. A little Valpo over Kentucky.
I
Even
saw that one.
Lowell
Yeah,
over UConn. You never
Sam
know.
Houston over Texas Tech.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of these. Some of these
That's
teams
what
were
I'm saying.
decent
There's
last year,
just
right?
Yeah, well, there's just so many of these games. I mean, obviously, non-conference, a lot of these power conferences or a lot of these top teams, they schedule either a really, really good team or a really, really bad team. So
Yeah.
we're going to see a lot of these games between opponents who are not ready for that. But I think that a few of these opponents are going to surprise them.
Columbia,
Anyways,
Columbia over
that
UConn. Yeah.
oof,
It's coming.
it's coming. All right, that's going to be it for me. All for Brett. I think we're going to get out of here. Happy college basketball tip off.
Yeah.
Excited for it all. We'll be back next Tuesday, talk about these games that happened on Monday, and then just have a little bit more stuff coming to you then. Until then, peace.
See ya.